Did you ever do this as a kid? Did you ever do the
all the time.
the Beaver
I
thing?
do as an adult.
I do it with my nieces and nephews-in-law. Nothing.
I do
When
with
I
my
was a
brother.
kid-
Not the same thing.
Yeah, when I was a kid, that and the spaceman,
Yep. Steal a quarter
Big
from
cr-
the
big
ear
cr-
and you're a big hit.
big crowd pleaser. Nowadays, they got iPads, they got David Hogg. It's tough. I love our next guest. This time she doesn't have her phone flipped because last time people were, why does she have her the
Why?
flag is correct. That's
correct.
When you Skype guests, sometimes if they're doing the front-facing phone,
flip
it'll flip it. So we love her. You know her and love her. Well, she's the opposite of Cher. Sometimes people go, how do I follow her? So her Twitter is at Anni, ANNI_Cyrus, Cyrus, and liveup2freedom.com is her website. Miss Cyrus, thank you for being back.
Always a pleasure to be back.
Well, we're always glad to have you back, and we're glad to have you back under usually it's after a little bit of terrorism. So in this,
Usually when Islam screws up.
yeah. Remember when we started this show, we're like, we're gonna be recycling the same stuff, and it's like, nope,
Nope. Fresh material every day.
fresh material every day. So Annie, I hope you're doing well, and I guess you're an expert on this. And I was just talking about this. I go to a church where they have a big Iranian ministry, so they have little pocket translators specifically for all the Iranians in the church. Anyways, long story to say, they still kill you.
They're also on the no-fly list.
Yeah, yes, they're also on the fly list. Tell us about the civil uprising in Iran that a lot of people here they're not really aware of.
Yes, of course they're not because nobody's covering it. Okay, no one on mainstream media is covering it.
Yes.
Basically, it started as just a movement and then turned into uprising, and I think it's safe to say it is getting close to an actual revolution.
Okay.
It's
So does
been
that
the
mean they're gonna have their
longest.
own little like David Hoggs going up there like enough is enough?
Sparkle.
Sparkle.
They might just do that. No, okay, in a way, it's a great thing because it's starting to look like a revolution. At the same time, it's a bad thing because it looks like the country is getting really divided in three different, group of people. But what did happen was it had started all the way back in December 27th when women in Iran got tired and started protesting against mandatory hijab. So they started going on the streets and literally removing their hijab
Right.
and standing on the public without a hijab. It all started from there. But you might want to know that apparently in America, for some reason, including Fox News, they all think this is all because people are just living under poverty and they just want money.
They do that a lot. They say, well, it's poverty. You know what I mean? Same thing when we talk about socialism in Venezuela. It's not socialism, it's poverty. Yeah, but you repeat yourself. So I know it's kind of started as an anti-Sharia. This is kind of the balance. Maybe you can provide some insight, Annie, because I've gone back and forth, I supported the war in Iraq. I was a kid. I wasn't much older than David Hogg at that point. I go back and forth between, okay, I understand that at some point you have to draw a line with evil and you have to fight it. And then I swing to, yeah, but you know what? These people just don't understand democracy and they go 20 years and it's if I kill him, I can be number one. We're always finding this balance between revolution but destabilization. And either way, it seems to end up hurting the Western world. What do you see happening here? Like overall, good thing, bad thing? Should we get involved or not?
To be honest, I really think we should get involved.
Okay, why?
Reason is if they go the way they're going in Iran, they might overthrow the regime, the mullahs, but they can't get rid of the Sharia system in the country because other countries will come in. For example, ISIS will obviously jump in. There's no way they would pass on that opportunity.
No.
Saudi Arabia is going to try. Iraq is going to try. So it's going to turn into a disaster for us in the West because, as you know, Iran is one of the most richest and most powerful countries in the Middle East. If we lose that to actual Islamic State, we could definitely count on a bigger war here in America.
Well, I guess yes, and that all sounds. I'm not saying it is correct. I'm sure it all sounds good. Like okay, that's a reason for us to get involved. But obviously, Taliban. And then you add a few years, add some water, ISIS, right? How are we sure that's not going to happen? I mean, that's how I think a lot of Americans feel.
Lots of sunshine.
It's like the little Tyrannosaurus Rex used to get in the cereal box that would grow, only it beats women. Yeah. How do we avoid that?
Well, here's the thing. There is no guarantee it won't happen, but if we don't get involved, it's guaranteed it will happen. It's literally we have to pick between bad and worse. if we don't get involved, it's guaranteed they are going to. And here's the thing: as I always say, Iranian Islamic groups are the most dangerous.
Why is that?
I would say because they're Shia.
Right.
Here's the thing: the Sunni Muslims will come to you and say, "I'm going to kill you," and they're going to kill you. The Shia Muslim is going to come and say, "I'm a moderate Muslim. I'm friendly. I'm going to go to a bar with you and have a beer." As soon as you turn your back, they will stab you. That's the system of their imams.
Yes.
So you don't really want to sit back and give the opportunity to any Islamic groups in Iran to have power.
Well, as much as I like gross characterizations, gross mischaracterizations, I actually think this is pretty accurate. Let me ask you this. Is this, because you talk about the difference between Sunni and Shia, and a lot of people use the term Taqiyya, they throw it around. Is that exclusive to Shias, or is it just a part of their culture where they use that more?
No, it's actually not exclusive because Taqiyya comes from Quran itself. So Sunni or Shia, they use it, and so did Muhammad, which is the shared prophet. But Shia people use it more because of the technique I just told you.
Right.
Their imam was Ali, who was the son-in-law of Muhammad, and he was basically a businessman back in time. So he used this a lot to conquer a lot faster than Abu Bakr, who was the Sunnis leader.
Yeah.
It just became more common in Shia side.
Right, exactly. So that's always my question, because I know sometimes they'll try and trip you up where they'll say, well, hold on, this is cultural, it's not really Muslim. Well, actually, Taqiyya does come from the Quran, but culturally, I've always noticed that it seems that's something more permissible and taught more so, obviously, in the Middle East with the Shia. Do we call them sects? Denominations?
It's a sect.
I think it's sect.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, sect. Okay, I'm okay with that. See, we have the Iranian pass here. With so why do you think this isn't getting covered? Like you said, even Fox News. Why do you think it's just because we're so entrenched with the gun debate right now? We're guilty
No.
of it. We haven't covered it much.
Well, you are now.
This-
Trust me. I have sent letters to anyone I could, and I always actually say this on my live feed. Like the only person who actually does care is Crowder, who brings me on his program to get my message out. You were the only one who got back to me. I think we sent out about 28 letters.
Well, you know what? They got buried underneath David Hogg. Priorities.
Agreed. Yeah, but if you think about it, when this started, David Hogg wasn't in the picture yet.
Yeah, but he came roaring into the picture, and he did the Breakfast Club. And I mean, they're going to put a statue up there. He's going to be a future monument. Yeah, no,
And pretty girl buried under David Hogg. That's his worst nightmare.
yeah, I know. But it is concerning, and this is one of those deals where then later on people have an opinion on it and go, well, we shouldn't have gotten involved, or do you know that we were? So let me ask you this right now, so people can be informed going forward, because this is obviously it's going to come to a boiling point, and my guess is that hopefully if people want an expert in the future, they'll be banging on your door to bring you on. But you never know with cable news. It's not necessarily the experts in the subject who they want on the show. They want the people who will give the talking points that they agree with. What should people most know about this going forward? Like, is the United States arming anybody? Are we politically involved right now where people could look back and say, well, hold on, we created ISIS? Is that what's happening with Iran, or the current regime that's there that's being the upheaval? Will people look back to it and say, the United States created that?
No. United States had nothing to do with it. The only thing people need to know is this movement, this uprising, is based on one problem, and that is people of Iran are sick and tired of 38 years of Sharia. That's all they need to know. The reason mainstream media is now covering it is they come out and say, hey, people are actually on the street chanting, saying, no more Sharia, no more mullahs, no more imams, no hijab, no Islam, then the whole narrative of moderate, good Muslims in America is going to fall apart.
Right. But you also
That's
mentioned
the
Saudi
only
Arabia,
reason.
and we have such ties with Saudi Arabia. This is one thing where the left and the right trot out when it's convenient for them. Michael Moore trots it out when he's talking about wars for oil. The right trot it out when they're trying to talk about Barack Obama and the bowing. What's the truth there, the relationship with Saudi Arabia? Because you mentioned them as a threat if they come in. And we've talked about this. I think we'll talk about it Thursday. Got a letter from a man from Saudi Arabia who came to our show at SMU, converted from Islam, became an atheist, then spent time here when he was in the United States in ICE, in an ICE detention center, and became a Christian, and is now waiting to try and get a work visa. And I think a lot of people don't understand how bad Saudi Arabia is, but why do we have such a tight-knit relationship with them?
To be honest, I was so hoping the new administration is going to actually minimize that,
Right.
which didn't happen. But the only reason we have such tight relationship with Saudi Arabia is because we don't have a tight relationship with Iran. Now, before the revolution in Iran, America had a tighter relationship with Iran than Saudi Arabia, which back then Iran was an Islamic country.
They could wear
But
bikinis.
after, exactly. So after the revolution and the hostage situation, obviously we could not negotiate with them or deal with them. What was the next richest country that could provide us with a hell of a lot of what we need? Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
That's the only reason. It's sad. It's heartbreaking. I hate it, but it is what it is.
Well, and the truth is, when people go and they try, a lot of people try to look for conspiracies here. The truth is, it comes down to national security and having to have allies somewhere. You know, that's the deal. When people get into the big Jewish conspiracy, it's like, well, hold on a second. We actually rely on the intel from it. If you just look at it pragmatically, you don't need a conspiracy to understand that you do need to have alliances with people in certain regions of the world to try and ensure some kind of stability. And by the way, that's not just the United States. Is it our own interest? Yes. It's in the interest of the world. The problem is, it seems as though every 2 decades, it switches. Like you said, the Iranian Revolution, right? You can go back there. What was the movie with Ben Affleck? The Jimmy Carter deal. Argo. Yeah, a lot of people don't. When they watch it from our generation, they're going, "Well, hold on a second. What's going on there?" Yeah. You should learn about this. You should learn how different of a country Iran was not long ago, and now we think, well, someone else has done. Remember Turkey? Turkey and Egypt were pointed to as successful moderate Islamic countries, really in our lifetime. 5 years ago?
Yep.
And now here we are. So I don't know.
I think that's the problem with our generation is that we have this idea that so much news happens, that so many events occur over a short period of time that. Right. 2 years ago feels like, oh, that's distant. You know, even Hitler's the Holocaust, that was not that long ago in the human history.
Long ago at all.
That's not long ago. Certainly, you go back to what was it, late '80s with the Argo deal. I mean, that's
no. That wasn't late '80s. That was Carter.
80s? Yeah, it was Carter. So that would have been
it was 1979.
Yeah, 1979.
And ended on 80.
Yes, it ended on 80. See, there you go. Correct my not gay producer, Annie.
I'm being corrected.
This got really creepy. All right, well, listen, what should Americans be following here? I know they can go follow you, obviously. I don't want to plug your Twitter because people get it. LiveUpToFreedom.com. That's the best place. LiveUpToFreedom.com and follow what you're doing with this. But what should people be looking for right now? Or what should they be looking for that they're missing? You know, we always talk about this, the lies by omission. That's what happens a lot here, just people choosing not to cover it. So how should Americans go about trying to get the information here?
Okay, as you said, obviously I'm putting as much updates as I can on my website, liveuptofreedom.com. But then also, amazingly, you'd be surprised to hear this. Go to YouTube. YouTube is actually allowing all the videos coming from Iran to be aired.
Wow.
They're not censoring it. They're not shutting it down. So you look up the Iran Uprising 2017, and the videos will keep coming up. Most of them have subtitles, so you hear the chants, you hear what's going on. There are actually, the latest what happened was on Friday in Tehran. Stephen, actually people went to the Friday prayer and they interrupted the prayer chanting, "We won't let you do your prayer to Allah until you give us our freedom back." It got canceled.
I'm surprised nobody got killed.
No, but about 38 people got arrested, which will later be killed.
Yeah, well, way to be a downer. But I do think there was 4,700 arrests I have written down here from you earlier before the show, and then 45 deaths reported, including some teenagers.
Yes, actually, right now it went up to 5,200 arrests. They're literally arresting hundreds daily. But we did have 3 teenagers who were shot on the street as they were joining the marches. One of them. 2 of them were 13-year-old. One of them was 15-year-old, and the number of killed actually went from 47 to 68 now. And how they're doing it, amazingly, they arrest people and then they call their family and tell them where to pick up their bodies.
I can imagine. Yeah, it really is for the leftist movement, which is so internationalist. You know, they hate nationalism. They're internationalists, but what about internationalist feminism? What about internationalist human rights? What about internationalist teenagers' lives matter in Iran? What about internationalists when it comes to mass incarceration? We get really, really pissed when a guy who's a serial meth dealer gets caught in a felony and gets incarcerated because he's black. And we talk about that. And yes, we have too much incarceration here in the United States. But I have 4,700 here, 5,600, 5,600 you said? 54?
5,200.
5,200. Jeez. Yeah, I know. I'd love to see the internationalists come out and talk about this. Okay, Anni Cyrus, we have to get going. It is liveuptofreedom.com. Hopefully people stay updated, and you keep us updated as this stuff unfolds, okay?
Sure thing.
We'll be back after this, I think.